Hi, I'm Jim Miller. I'm here with Terrence Moore, and the FlipSide starts right now. Welcome to the show. We're happy to have you in what is episode 1 of season 10 of the FlipSide. Tonight we're happy to have with us Kim Bowen, President of the Board of the Maryland Symphony Orchestra, and Jonathon Parrish, Executive Director of the Maryland Symphony Orchestra. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we have a lot to talk about. The Maryland Symphony has been around for a long time. It's been very successful in our community. I've been to, I can't tell you how many concerts, and they're just always amazing. Talk to us a little bit about the history of the MSO.
Well, thank you, Jim. The orchestra just celebrated its 40th anniversary. So founded in 1982 by a group of visionary community leaders who, together with the great concert soloist, French horn soloist Barry Tuckwell, who happened to be frequenting the area because he was working with a gentleman in Boonesboro who was building custom professional French horns, Walter Lawson. And they cooked up the idea of a professional orchestra in Western Maryland. I think at one point it was referred to as the Miracle in Western Maryland. And the initial season was 1982. I was a bystander for that. I was in college at the time at James Madison University, and my teacher was in the French horn section of the orchestra. So I knew about the orchestra and knew how exciting it was for a new orchestra to be created, especially one that had Barry Tuckwell as music director. A few years later, I was very fortunate. Maestro Tuckwell appointed me as principal horn, position I had in the orchestra for about 6 years, from the late 80s and early 90s. So the orchestra began its concerts in the Maryland Theater, and I think a great deal of the longevity and success of the orchestra has to do with having a terrific venue. And the Maryland Theater has been the home of the Maryland Symphony for all of those 40 years. And perhaps also the flagship event of the year, Salute to Independence, every year held at Antietam National Battlefield for over 30 years, and attracting 20 or 30,000 people. Raising the visibility of the orchestra in the community. But I think that the orchestra started with very high aspirations, which it met through the leadership of Maestro Tuckwell and the fact that we have a great deal of talent in this region, including the areas of Baltimore and Washington and Northern Virginia, suburban DC, to draw upon, to put an ensemble together that's really second to none, capable of performing any repertoire. And through those years, the orchestra has grown, and about midway through its life, hired our current music director, Elizabeth Scholes, who has brought the orchestra to new heights and just grown the orchestra artistically to the point that the orchestra's been broadcast on National Public Radio and is now an orchestra featured on recordings with notable artists like Sharon Isbin. So it's been a trajectory of growth and improvement over those 40 years.
Wow, I didn't know half of that. Terrence?
Oh, I've had the pleasure over the last couple of years of serving on the board, and one of the great things that I had was bringing you on board and bringing you back to the orchestra as executive director. Give us a little bit about where you came from and why you're back now.
Well, the orchestra was one of my first professional positions. I had just finished my graduate work at Peabody in Baltimore and took the audition here, and Maestro Tuckwell appointed me principal horn, so it was kind of where I cut my teeth as a principal horn player. 6 years of playing great repertoire with Maestro Tuckwell, and I can tell you that you couldn't get away with anything in the French horn chair because he knew every note you were playing and how you were playing it. I later became, or had a full-time position at the Kennedy Center, and then a position in Honolulu. and went to Honolulu for about 21 years. I wanted to come back to the East Coast, saw this position advertised, had happy memories of my time at the Maryland Symphony, knew it had grown and improved, and it was a very exciting opportunity for me. But I'll tell you what really sold me, well, a couple of things. When I came to visit, the new Performing Arts Center at the Maryland Theater was under construction, and I could see what an incredible game changer that was going to be. Meeting with the board and hearing the board articulate their vision of music for everyone really inspired me, and that's what really got my attention. And,
so you just said something that interests me a lot, which is that you were with the Maryland Symphony early on, and then you went away for a number of years and you came back. You mentioned the changes. Can you speak to some of those changes specifically and the kind of the before and after that you witnessed?
well, in the orchestra, the level of playing, Elizabeth has, at this point, appointed the majority of the orchestra. Now, we have a few musicians who have been with the orchestra from day one or almost from day one, and very fine musicians who have been with us now for many, many years. But Elizabeth's done a great job of building the cohesiveness of the ensemble so that even though we play once a month with each other, and when I say once, I don't mean one day or one evening, but 1 week out of each month, the orchestra comes together very quickly, and we've developed a pretty deep pool of reserves of people we can call on, because the musicians we use are in demand, and they sometimes have other engagements that they have to work around. So we also need to have people we can go to. So our bench is deep.
A plan B.
The orchestra, regardless, sounds like the Maryland Symphony Orchestra. It's always a high quality performance, and the programming is always terrific. And Elizabeth does a terrific job of connecting the program for the audience.
You mentioned that you had you attracted artists, musicians from more than just Western Maryland. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I mean, Washington, D.C. has all the finest military bands, the top bands in the U.S. military, multiple bands. So there are some wonderful musicians. Our concertmaster is with the U.S. Army Strings. So that's what you might call his day job. Mm-hmm. And this is his one of his side jobs, playing with us. And he's a terrific musician. We have a great school of music in Baltimore, Peabody. We have some good schools of music as well, University of Maryland, Catholic University, George Mason, Frostburg is training musicians. So musicians coming from all around Shenandoah. We've had some of our musicians have been faculty members from Shenandoah University. So I think when you put an orchestra together that's this good, musicians want to play in it. They want to be a part of it. There's nothing better as a musician than playing with people that are your level or higher to bring your level up.
And Kim, I'm sorry. I just wanted to call out as well, and question to you specifically. I know being on the board is very passionate about the orchestra as a whole. And there's a great diversity on that board as well. And I've seen that happen over the last few years growingly as well. And they're very community-centric. How did you get called into position on the board and now board president?
My story is a funny one because I am involved with the symphony simply because I chaperoned a field trip to the symphony with my children. I got the call from actually my son said, "Mom, we need a chaperone he was in the orchestra at North High. We need somebody to come and help us out." So I chaperoned, we have the Youth Masterworks concerts where we bring in young musicians from area schools to listen to the MSO. And I sat there and I listened to Elizabeth connect with these young musicians, and she explained things in a way that really resonated for them. And Elizabeth has this incredible repertoire of information and knowledge about all things orchestra.
Yes.
But the way she could bring it down to these young developing musicians was so inspiring, I went and got tickets for myself. And I went to that weekend, and there was something in the program that said, be a friend of the MSO. So I signed up and I volunteered, and that started my service. After that, I was served a couple volunteer positions, then was tapped to be on the board, and I have kind of worked my way through just to be, because again, this is an amazing organization that we have here that shouldn't be in Western Maryland. But the people are just so dedicated, and we have such passion for the music. And the music is amazing. Jonathon spoke to the level of musicianship. When you get into the theater and you are just surrounded by that quality, there is nothing that moves you in the same way. So I am just proud to put my energy towards the organization because of all of that.
No, it is amazing. You know, coming from New York, and you know, it was an experience of kind of traveling through different communities, as well as, you know, it was like a little big city. And I think that's one of the biggest part of that transformation, being downtown in that art district and the art entertainment district, and being engaged. When I was asked to serve, I said, who, me? Like, you know, I have appreciation for music and the arts, but I think that board is a very eclectic board that brings in insight and passions for around the community, and goes back to the mission of music for everyone. Mm-hmm. So it's proud to serve on that board, and working with both the U. But the MSO had some trying times, as every other organization did possibly, during COVID. So,
Sure.
and you were hired
2 months or 3 months before, yeah. I arrived in December of 2019. We had our holiday concert. We had a concert in February, and then we almost made it to our March concert before everybody was told to go home and stay home. Yeah, you know, operating an orchestra is challenging in the best of times. Mm-hmm. What a lot of people don't understand is that our ticket revenue, and this is a pretty universal across orchestras and other performing arts organizations, our ticket revenue only covers about a third of our expenses. So we rely tremendously on the support of generous donors, on grant support, and on some really helpful government support here. Put it all together, special events and everything, to make our expenses every year. So it's challenging, but then you roll in the dynamic of a pandemic. I think if you told people in the orchestra business before the pandemic that something's going to happen where you're not going to be able to have an audience for a period of time, or you can have an audience but they have to sit 6 or 8 feet apart, I think they would have all said, well, you can't do that. That's unsustainable. It's an existential crisis. And we weathered it, and many orchestras and arts organizations weathered it through the persistence of the board and our musicians, through the generosity of our donors, and through some very generous government support, emergency relief support. So that is on its way out, and we're returned to normal activities. So we're working very hard now to get the audience back and the support back.
And how is that going? Is the audience coming back? Is it slow? I would imagine.
It's coming back, but I think it's slower than you'd like, of course, to, well, we're back and there's no restrictions. You please come to our concerts, and you expect to see all the same people that you had before. But it's whether it's getting out of the habit or circumstances change or whatever, you have to build an audience over time, and you have to rebuild. And
right.
We're rebuilding, yeah.
How I know you have virtual concerts now. How is that going? What is the attendance for those?
We have, I think, about 100 streams average per program.
That's not bad.
So we, by necessity, had to figure out how can we deliver our concert, and we did several concerts where we were only online and had no audience in the hall, which was a little surreal for musicians who are used to having an audience. And we had to figure out how to do that, and we essentially created a video production company within the organization. My director of marketing and I are the video crew. I run the cameras and he runs the stream.
All right.
So we took some of the emergency funding and invested in the equipment we needed, and began, and we're getting better every time. But it's a different experience watching it at home. You get more close-ups and variety of views. We have multiple cameras, but it doesn't replace the live experience.
I was going to say, I'm really proud that we were able to pivot and get onto the streaming platform when we did. And it's a great opportunity if you have a mobility issue and you can't get out. You can still stream it. And the streaming is fantastic, but it just doesn't replace being in the theater and having the music there. Your surround sound's just never going to be that same level to have just the music blasting. But it does. It surrounds you and it moves you, and it's ways that just don't really come through at the same.
It's the experience, and
experience.
I think
Exactly.
that's what I love. I remember the first time I went to a show, I wore a tuxedo. Right?
Of course you did.
Of course.
Was the only one there in a tuxedo because it's also a community event.
Yep.
To be in such a beautiful venue, to be amongst community, and that social experience that's tied to it as well, and just kind of seeing everyone pour into and out of the theater into the downtown area, and the MSO brings crowds, month over month, every show that really brings an audience down to the downtown area, and very important to the economy as well downtown.
Oh, absolutely important economic driver. And I have to say the quality of our guest artists is also just incomparable. We have people come from Broadway to perform with us. We actually this weekend we have a Broadway performer. We have a 3-time Grammy nominee. We are not pulling singers off the corner. We have amazing talent coming in to perform with the symphony.
Although if we heard some on the corner that were that good, we'd get them. But yes, we do. This weekend is going to be pretty spectacular because we have Carpathia Jenkins coming. She is a powerhouse entertainer and veteran of Broadway, off-Broadway, and TV and film. I mean, she's been on Law and Order and
30 Rock.
30 Rock.
She was in the Chicago the ensemble
film.
for Chicago, the musical.
Yeah. So, and she's a tremendous entertainer. She'll be doing a tribute to the great Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul. And with her, Ryan Shaw, who's the 3-time Grammy nominee. Wow. Tremendous soul and R&B singer. He was nominated in the R&B category 3 times. He's grew up in Atlanta, I believe. And then 3 backup singers from Philadelphia are coming in to join them. They've all worked together before and done the show. We are adding a full sax section. That's 5 sax players to the orchestra to cover what's needed for this. It's going to be a great concert if you like Aretha Franklin, if you need a little respect.
Well, the beauty is it is Aretha, but it's not just Aretha.
It's not just
You've got
Aretha, of
like
course.
Stevie Wonder in there. They've got like some great Motown singers. That's why Ryan's coming in, because he's not just doing Aretha.
Yeah.
So we do have some other songs to blend in with the Aretha.
And we're going to make a little bit of a local connection. I noticed you had a guest in February, Ed Meliscus.
Yes.
Came and talked about his book From John Brown to James Brown. So I ran into Ed the other day, and we've invited him to bring his book and sign in the lobby, sell his book there. And Ed's really excited. Of course, he's a musician. He's really excited about this. He loves this music. And we're talking with him about how we can do other collaborations. Aretha performed at the John Brown Farm.
Right.
So there are other great artists that we could pay tribute to that have a connection to the John Brown Farm too. So we're talking to him about that.
So I know your first trip through the Maryland Symphony, you were not involved as much in the back end because you were as part of the orchestra. Now you are clearly involved in the back end. You've also been, I'm assuming, involved in the back end on some of your other professional engagements. Tell me how this compares. What have you found with the MSO in terms of the support, the level of support, the finances? What are you finding here compared to other areas?
Well, I think we mentioned the deep talent pool. I think the thing that really impresses me about this area, Washington County, Western Maryland is, and its support of this orchestra, which for 40 years I think is really a remarkable period of support, is that Washington County, Hagerstown in particular, seems to always punch above its weight. I have lived places where where the challenge was you could think too big. Don't think too big because we're not that big. Well, Hagerstown never seems to sit back and wonder if it's too small to do something. We have a tremendous museum here, a museum that would be the envy of cities 2 or 3 times the size. And the same thing with the orchestra. And it's through the vision and dedication and generosity of the community that the orchestra exists in the first place, that it happened, and that it's had this 40 years of life. So we're looking at ways that we can continue that legacy and grow it and expand our reach and our service and do even greater things.
And you talk about expanding service. You're not just in the downtown of Hagerstown. You're in Frederick right now as well, and pulling in and even board members from West Virginia and Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. So it's a tri-state orchestra that resides in Maryland at this time as well. But it continues to expand and bring in more and more patrons. Mm-hmm. Correct?
Yeah, it's definitely something I saw when I was considering moving here, that the board had made conscious efforts to diversify the board in terms of geographic representation. We had board members from the Frederick area. We have some from West Virginia. We just had a new board member join who lives in West Virginia. And through other diversity on the board. I met you when I came to interview and was very impressed that the board was putting intention behind the words music for everyone, and that they had that goal, and they were already making investments in doing that, and that excited me. It really impressed me.
We want to talk more about Music for Everyone. We want to talk about educational programs. We want to talk about the upcoming season. Let's do that after a commercial break. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
Did you know that Wi-Fi connects multiple devices in your home? So go ahead. Surf, game, or simply watch your favorite shows and movies anywhere in the house on any device. With Wi-Fi, your house becomes a high-tech home.
Unleash the internet in your home with Antietam Ultra Wireless Home Network. With speeds up to 1 gig, your whole family can surf together faster. We make it easy with our hassle-free professional installation. Call Antietam Broadband today and add a Wi-Fi modem free for 60 days.
For more than 10 years, the University System of Maryland at Hagerstown has been providing a local higher education option for students in the Quad State region. With more than 20 undergraduate and graduate programs from 6 Maryland State universities, there are many opportunities to earn your degree while saving on the cost of commuting.
Financial benefits to attending the program have been significant.
USMH. Academic excellence, outstanding value.
Every piece of jewelry really, if you step back from it, has more to do with the emotion behind the person that's giving the gift. That transcends whatever the value, the material value of the item is. It is something that has such meaning that, we see generations many years later. And they have the story about how great-grandfather gave this to great-grandmother, where it was, and those kinds of things. And so it's the love that's between two people that really transcends the item itself.
These really are the best years of your life, so why not make the most of them at Homewood at Williamsport? Conveniently located near Washington and Baltimore, we have a rich tradition of helping retirees maintain an independent social lifestyle. Homewood offers attractive, spacious cottages without any maintenance hassle or headaches, plus a vibrant social community and access to the best amenities and medical care. Woodlands Apartments with up to more than 1,200 square feet of beautiful living space. Now's the best time to look into Homewood at Williamsport. Enjoy worry-free living today and tomorrow at Homewood at Williamsport.
Hi, I'm Mr. CopyQuick, and at my shop, we offer many products to help market your business. Let me show you a few ideas. We offer stunning graphic design, quality printing, addressing and mailing too. Need a trade show display? We create booths that draw a crowd. Does your retail signage need a facelift? We can help. We can even turn your vehicle into a full-time salesman. Stop by and see us today. Other printers might be nearby, but no one else comes close to CopyQuick.
Looking for a communications partner who'll go the extra mile? With hundreds of fiber miles across Washington County, scalable solutions for companies of all sizes, and professional on-site installation, Antietam Broadband means business. Call Antietam to get business class internet with speeds up to 1 gig, or maximize your savings in a business bundle. Internet and phone with unlimited nationwide calling. Call Antietam Business Solutions, 301-797-5000, or go online at antietamBroadband.com/business.
We're back for B Block here on the Flip Side, episode 1 of season 10. Welcome, we're glad you're with us. We're here again with Kim Bowen, president of the board of the Maryland Symphony Orchestra, and Jonathon Parrish, executive director of the Maryland Symphony Orchestra. Jonathan, one of the ways that I have seen the MSO involved in our community is through educational programs. In fact, my son, who was a celloist through high school, attended one of the concerts. I don't know whether it was the Youth Master Series that you mentioned earlier or what, but what I can tell you is his comment back to me was they played something that he had played before, and he said, "You know, Dad, I don't think that you can ever truly understand and appreciate music at a certain level unless you've actually played it." And to the point of being there live, and to the point of being involved and bringing this gift of music to the younger generation. Clearly the Maryland Symphony is doing that. Can you talk to us about how that manifests?
Sure. Well, sowing the seeds, and certainly for musicians, young musicians, playing the music and then hearing the music that you've played by a professional orchestra can be an inspiring and life-changing experience to hear what can be attained. We have a number of initiatives where we are building the audience of tomorrow and sowing the seeds. We're not trying to make all children become musicians. That wouldn't be practical. We simply want all students, all children to be exposed to music, to understand where music comes from. It's made by human beings. It's not just something that comes out of your phone or out of the TV. For some children, when they come to a symphony educational experience, it is the first time they've heard a live human being make music in their presence. And that's very exciting, and the musicians, I think, always value that experience of making that connection for children. So we have everything from kinder concerts to our Symphony Saturdays, to Link Up, which is the Carnegie Hall curriculum that we are partner with Carnegie Hall on. That's sort of the biggest one. We send ensembles into the schools, so we're
master classes
that we provide, that are specifically targeted to like middle and high school level music students. So we're trying to hit all age levels, and so that they have multiple opportunities to interact with the symphony as they're coming through, and not just Washington County, but a great deal of Washington County. And we have a great partnership with the Washington County Public Schools and their music educators. And in fact, some of our musicians are music educators. Many of them do.
So that has to come with a tremendous expense. How are those initiatives funded?
Well, we have some specific funding for education that comes through the county public schools, through foundations, and through corporate sponsorships and donations that are earmarked for education. And we have a scholarship fund as well, which is a separate part, but it's part of our education initiative. We've also got a program of recognizing Student Musicians of the Month. They're nominated by their teacher, either private teacher or school ensemble teacher, and we recognize one musician at each concert to highlight their achievements in music and help to further them along their path. It's always an inspiring program to be a part of. We just had an ensemble play last Saturday in downtown Frederick for the In the Streets Festival, And that's one of our small groups that goes out to play in the schools. In this case, they were playing for the general public at this big street fair in Frederick.
So there are times when you have the entire orchestra at the Maryland Theater playing,
There are.
but then you also send small groups out. What would a small group consist of in terms of instruments?
Typically, we'll use a string quartet, which is 2 violins, a viola, and a cello. So it's kind of one of each of the family, with apologies to the contrabasses who don't get included in that. A wind quintet, which is one of each of the wind family, plus a French horn. That's a whole nother segment if you want to talk about why the French horn's in the wind quintet. Brass quintet, which is 2 trumpets, a trombone, a horn, a tuba, again, one of each. And sometimes a percussion ensemble. And they have their own repertoire that they can do. It can be targeted at the kindergarten age group or middle school age group, or it can be for a street fair. And we utilize those ensembles for education at all age levels.
So you typically have a smaller ensemble for a kinder concert, and those are usually at HCC for preschool level children. So they're not active participants, but we all know how music affects brain development and coordination, and it's amazing how you can get the children to sit when the music starts playing. But and those are all those smaller ensembles. They don't do the whole orchestra for that.
That's right. And then the Symphony Saturdays, we usually have 2 musicians from each family of the orchestra, and they will will demonstrate their instrument, talk about how their instrument makes sound, how they make music, how they practice a little bit. This is for sort of early elementary ages, and this is not through the schools. The children parents sign their children up for this separately with us. It's 4 Saturdays every February. And at the end, they get to interact. They either get to try the instrument or they get to build an instrument.
And what age group is that?
That's for early elementary, for sort of 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade. Then 4th grade is the link-up program that we mentioned. So Carnegie Hall has developed this curriculum. In fact, they have multiple programs, themes, so they have about 4 different shows that we go through. The curriculum is designed to be taught in the schools. It does not have to be taught by a music teacher, although we're very fortunate in our county that every school has a music teacher. But it can be taught by non-music teachers. And it's over a period of months that they work with the children through this curriculum. And they're either playing a recorder or they're singing or doing some other musical activity. And it culminates with a trip to hear the full orchestra on stage, where what they've been studying is projected above the stage. They see the music they've been learning, and they literally learn to read it, and then they perform with the orchestra. And until you've heard 1,000 children playing a recorder with a 70-piece orchestra, you really haven't
lived, right?
Yeah. It's an unmatched musical experience.
You can hear the kids before the concert starts. The excitement level, as soon as you walk in the doors of the Maryland Theater, you're not even through the lobby, and you can hear them just interacting with the questions that the Carnegie Hall provides, and shouting out the answers, and just very interactive.
Yeah, so enthusiastic. It's really tremendous. So that's a great and successful program.
Well, education doesn't stop with the youth, right? It's also about educating a community of many who have never been exposed to the orchestra. So tell me about some of the partners in the community that you're working with that's outside of the 4 walls of the Maryland Theater, and where your residency is. I know there's some confusion at times between the Maryland Theater and the MSO. But tell me about some of those and how you're educating the community as part of your Music for Everyone.
Well, we love to partner with other organizations to help to reach more people with music and educate more people about music. That is our mission, to educate and entertain. We've worked with the Washington County Historical Society. We've had programs at the library. During COVID, we started doing musical story time. The library has wonderful story time programs that they were putting online. We added music to a few of those, so we partnered on that. We've been developing our relationship with Hagerstown Community College, and we're now talking with them about having our speaker series be a part of the actual offerings that go out in their catalog regularly, and having speakers on topics that would be of interest to our audience or potential audience, because we want to make music available and relevant to everybody, because music is all around us. It's I've heard people say, "Oh, I don't like music," but that's not true.
It's universal language.
Have you seen a movie? Have you ever tried to watch it without the music? I mean, it's almost pointless. Music is everywhere around us every day, and it enhances and improves our life. It improves the experience of watching a movie, but it's
Even video games now.
Yeah, sure.
They score video games a lot.
Sure. I mean, I just went to my first Orioles game in about 20-some years, and you can't have an Orioles game without music. What would the seventh inning stretch be without Country Boy, right?
So we are starting off the adult lecture series coming up in October, talking about and educating our audiences about Florence Price. And Florence Price was this, and most people still don't know, that she was this amazing African-American composer living in the 1920s, and she had her work performed by the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. So to have an African-American woman in the 1920s composing and playing and being played for a major symphony is just incredible and unheard of.
It is.
And yet so many people don't know about her. So we have a speaker coming in. Remind me her name.
Dr. Karen Walwyn, who's a associate professor at Howard University, and she's a concert pianist and an authority on the life and music of Florence Price. And it's a terrific story. I mean, it's sad in some ways that her music was lost and nearly forgotten, but there's kind of a cool twist there. I mean, maybe your work with the Jonathon Street Cabin will resonate with this, but her music was discovered in 2009 in an abandoned home in a small town south of Chicago. And the people who discovered it knew enough to have someone look at it, and these were the only copies of some of her music. She wrote 4 symphonies, 3 concertos, piano works, chamber works. She was a very accomplished composer. She studied at the New England Conservatory of Music. And
which is also remarkable for that period of time.
It was. And just an interesting side note, I only learned this today, but I think she actually she put down that she was Mexican to get in.
Okay.
Wow. She said she was from Puebla, Mexico. I just discovered that in order to sort of get past that obstacle at NEC. But at any rate, since her music was discovered in 2009, it is experiencing a renaissance. Orchestras are programming it. We've done on, several pieces, and in October we'll be presenting her piano concerto. So Dr. Walwyn is coming on October 2nd. So that's the kind of presentation we're making available. This will be a free talk. Anybody can come to it. We'll be doing some others later in the year about music and medicine, about the physics of music. We'll be doing that, I think, at HCC. And we have one of our own musicians speaking on a specific topic of sort of Scandinavian composers specifically.
So you also have a brand new season starting up, and we want to talk about that. But first, we need to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be back after this word from our sponsors.
Did you know Antietam Broadband offers an affordable, reliable home phone solution? Get unlimited local and U.S. long distance, plus call waiting, caller ID, voicemail, and more. Switching your home phone service to Antietam is easy, and you can keep your same number. Antietam Broadband, the reliable choice. Make the switch and start saving today. Add home phone service from Antietam Broadband. Call 301-797-5000 today.
The University System of Maryland at Hagerstown provides a convenient location for students to earn a bachelor's, master's, or even doctoral degree. Located in downtown Hagerstown, USMH offers more than 20 degrees from 7 Maryland state universities. Classes are taught by the same professors you would find at your home institution, and your degree comes from that university too. Regional tuition rates are available for select counties in Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia. There is even student housing within walking distance of the campus. Simply apply for transfer admission at the university that offers your program. Scholarships are available both from USMH and individual universities. With flexible scheduling, small class sizes, and state-of-the-art facilities, there's no better time to complete your degree. Apply today. University System of Maryland at Hagerstown. Academic excellence, outstanding value.
We see, and there's pictures embedded in my mind of, for example, a little 3-year-old girl who's carrying bags of things that her mom had selected, and her mom before her is in here as well. So generations where you can see that this is a special place, something for them to be able to select a neat gift, and to see that transcend across generations is, it's just a great thing.
This is what it can feel like when you outgrow your internet speed. Chances are you have more internet-connected devices in your home than you did a year ago. Switch to Antietam Internet for the right fit for all your devices. Antietam Broadband delivers the speed and reliability you need with professional installation and no contracts. Sign up for internet service today and get speeds up to 1 gig. Call or visit AntietamBroadband.com.
Welcome back. Once again, we're here with Kim Bowen, the president of the board of the Maryland Symphony, and Jonathon Parrish, the executive director. You have a new season coming up soon. Tell us about that.
Yes, it starts this weekend. Very exciting. We're starting off with one of our POPs programs. We do 2 POPs a year, 5 classical programs, and our Home for the Holidays program. So that's what the season looks like, starting in September, just about every month except January. I'm told January is not a month to schedule a concert that doesn't have a snow date. So our first concert this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, is a tribute to the great Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul. And we have tremendous talent, which we spoke about, Capathia Jenkins and Ryan Shaw coming in, 3 backup singers from Philadelphia, and a complete sax section added to the orchestra. So, the orchestra is going to transition from, a Beethoven or Brahms orchestra to an R&B soul orchestra, and it's going to be spectacular. If you haven't experienced a POPs concert with the MSO, this would be a great place to start. She's going to do all the great hits, R.E.S.P.E.C.T., Natural Woman, and there are going to be a few hits from other artists as well. So,
what's a POPs concert?
POPs concert. Well, it's a huge category for orchestras, but kind of anything that is outside of the normal classical repertoire could be considered POPs, popular. Although I would argue that Vivaldi's been popular for almost 400 years. And so let me know when the Beatles are 400 years old. No.
And we'll talk about it, right?
So that's our September. In October, the second weekend of October, we'll start off our classics series. And it's an exciting program because we've got the music of 2 women composers on that program. First, we'll open the concert with a piece called Celebration by a Chinese-American composer, Gao Hong. And she's a professor at Carleton College in Minnesota, and she's actually going to be here. She's traveling here for that. And this is a piece that she's written. I know her as a performer. She plays the pipa, the Chinese lute, the pipa. Looks like almost like a guitar. And she's a tremendous musician, and this is a very exciting piece. Also on that program, we talked about Florence Price will be doing her piano concerto. This is going to be performed by Michelle Kahn. Michelle is the head of the piano faculty at Curtis Institute in Philadelphia. And she is a champion of Florence Price's music and a great performer. So those 2, and the second half, Schumann Symphony No. 3. It's called the Rhenish Symphony. It's one of my favorites because it's got great horn parts. So that's our October. In November, we'll feature a member of the orchestra, a longtime member of the orchestra, our principal clarinetist, Beverly Butts. She's going to do a concertino. It's a a little showpiece for clarinet that's by Weber.
Okay.
And also on that program, the Pulcinella suite of Igor Stravinsky. Pulcinella, the Commedia dell'arte character, the puppet, and then Mozart's 29th Symphony. If you saw the movie Amadeus, Mozart 29 was used prominently in that film. Well, I think it's my favorite of the Mozart symphonies, I think. And that says a lot because they're all good. Home for the Holidays in December, and that's it's just celebration of the holidays. So the music, it's popular, it's holiday, some of it's classical popular, some of it's popular. This year it's going to be kind of jazzy, though, because we're featuring a tremendous vocal jazz quartet from the DC area. They're called the Uptown Vocal Jazz Quartet, and they're kind of like a Manhattan Transfer group, a cappella quartet. So they'll be performing some solo a cappella things, some things with the orchestra, and might have a visitor.
That's what I was hoping for.
From the North Pole.
That's it.
I'm just saying.
And I defy you to come out of that concert and not be in the holiday spirit.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there is just, no matter what mood you're in, going in, coming out, you are in the spirit.
Yeah, and that's for all ages. That's a concert for families. It's the weekend before Christmas, so it's a great time.
And I noticed, because I looked online just last week to try to get some tickets to a couple concerts, there are still plenty of great seats available.
There are, yeah. Yeah, we fortunately have a great venue where there's really no bad seats in the house.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of good options, yeah. In February, as we said, we're not going to take the chances with January, but in February, the weekend before Valentine's Day, if you're planning, you need to plan something romantic.
He's got his Valentine's Day attire on right now.
Every day's Valentine's.
This is kind of a French connected program called La Création, named for one of the pieces on the program, which is La Création du Monde, The Creation of the World by Darius Milhaud. It's a very jazzy piece for a small orchestra, and it was written as a ballet in the early part of the 20th century, and we will be presenting it as a ballet with professional ballet dancers on stage in front of the orchestra.
Wow.
Also on that program, Maurice Ravel's Le Tombeau de Couperin, an homage to the great early music composer Couperin, and Igor Stravinsky, another Stravinsky, L'Histoire de Soldat. It's just celebrated its centennial. It's 100 years old. It's a small piece for about 7 musicians with narrator, and Robert Aubrey Davis will be here to narrate. And that will be also performed by dancers, music, narration, and dance. So, if you like movement, like dance.
And you hit on a good point that these shows are a great anchor for a night out, period. Dinner before, maybe drinks and dinner after, whatever way you want it, you can make it a truly experience. So, the orchestra makes a nice anchor piece for a beautiful weekend, whether it's on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon.
That's right. We're always at 7:30 on Saturday, so you can have a dinner before. Although programs are generally over by 9:30, so you could still have dinner after, or drinks or dessert. Sunday we're at 3, so it goes right into a nice early Sunday dinner. When we get to March, we'll have 2 programs in March, the beginning and the end of March. The first weekend in March, we're doing a program we've called Sacred Portraits. And this features music by another woman composer. This is our 3rd woman composer on the season, which is, we're very proud of that. Jennifer Higdon, who's a really widely respected and in-demand American composer. Blue Cathedral is what she's titled this piece. Blue was her brother, who died far too young, and this piece is sort of a tribute and eulogy for her brother. A wonderful young piano artist, 21-year-old, originally from Washington, D.C. She now studies at the Curtis Institute in Philadelphia, and she was a winner of the National Chopin Competition of America and a semifinalist in the International Chopin Competition. So she is an up-and-coming rising star. Her name is Avery Galliano. So we're really excited to present her with one of her first orchestra appearances, and certainly her debut in Maryland as a soloist. She's going to do the Saint-Saëns Egyptian Piano Concerto, and it will sound like you might imagine. It will sound like Camille Saint-Saëns went to Egypt and got inspired and wrote some music.
I've never heard that one.
It sounds like Egypt. It's very exotic. It's really compelling. So that's going to be fun. And then Tchaikovsky's Sixth Symphony, his final symphony, is titled the Pathétique, but it was, well, he died not long after completing it. And it's a powerful work. And I think that it's a favorite on orchestra seasons. The last concert then at the end of March is the concert where we'll have our gala celebration as well on the Saturday. And this features another DC connection and somebody who's played with the orchestra several times in the past as a soloist, but also as part of the group Time for Three, Nick Kendall. And Nick is going to be doing a concerto by Szymanowski, the second concerto, which is a gorgeous work, which has not been played tremendously frequently, but should be played more. But not every violinist is and orchestra up to the task. So, but he and we are also on that program. Music by Carl Nielsen and Sibelius, Fifth Symphony. So this one we're calling Northern Lights because it's composers of Northern European, Scandinavian countries.
And Time for Three brings out a crowd.
Time for Three. So Nick's got a whole following
Yes.
from his Time for Three work, which he continues to do. So we're very fortunate he's been able to make time in his schedule to do a concerto because it takes a lot of preparation to present a concerto.
Now, if memory serves, Nick did and I think I saw this, I don't know why, but he did a tour of one or two of the schools for us several years ago, and was just amazing. And he's very, very intelligent, aside from being an accomplished musician.
Yeah, he's articulate, and we will be engaging him to work with some schools as well while he's here because he's so energetic and so
Passionate about education. He's
yeah,
very passionate about education and
connects
reaching young musicians.
And he's sort of eternally youthful. So
I have no trouble believing that.
Our final concert of the year in May is it's similar to a program we did before. It's a Disney in concert program, and in this one it's fully licensed and approved by Disney. We will be showing scenes from classic Disney films, old and new, with 4 Disney entertainers performing the songs with the orchestra synced to the film.
Wow.
It's a pretty cool experience, and audiences always love it. We've done it once before here in that format, and it was tremendously successful.
Amazing.
So a concert for
For
all ages.
For everyone.
For everyone.
Music for everyone.
Music for everyone.
That's what
We're
we're
trying
trying.
that full circle.
Now, you can book all those now, right?
Yeah, you can buy all of those now.
And how,
You can buy them all together, and we'll give you a little discount.
Tell us about your subscription packages.
Subscription package, you can buy a subscription for all 8 concerts if you want to come to everything we're doing. That's the thing to get. And after this weekend, that one won't be available, but we could still have a package of what's left. The other option is the 5 classics. So you can buy that, and you could just add on the Home for the Holidays or the Disney. So all of that can be bought on our website, or you can just give us a call at our box office or stop by. As we said, our offices are in the Maryland Theater in the new facility.
And there's also, for those who don't know what's going on or can't really plan out a couple of months in advance, you have the Flex subscription as well, right?
Well, we do sell a trio package, and of course you can buy single tickets, and we sell tickets right up until the concert, and in fact even at the door. You could come and purchase concerts.
And one of the added benefits of being a subscriber is you can stream the concert for the week following the concert. So you went to the concert, you loved it, you loved that particular piece, you can go home and listen to it on your computer for the 7 days following the concert.
That's how I clean my house.
Right, there you go.
It's great cleaning music.
Great cleaning music, okay. All right. Well, I think we're about out of time, so I think we need to leave it there. Thank you for joining us. We wish you continued success. I think it really is a tribute to this community, as you say, punching above our weight. And I think we do that, and I think this is a perfect example of that. And thankfully, we have the amazing Maryland Theater that is a venue that just adds, I think, to the total experience provided by the Maryland Symphony Orchestra. That's all the time we have for tonight. We hope you will follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and send us your comments and suggestions to feedback@flipsidetv.com. That's feedback@flipsidetv.com. Most importantly, join us again next week for another visit to the Flip Side. Good night.
It's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
No matter how you connect, Antietam Broadband delivers fast, reliable internet and secure smart Wi-Fi throughout your home for intense gaming, easy sharing, and buffer-free streaming on every device all at once. With local experts ready to help. Connect to faster internet. Connect to smart Wi-Fi. Connect to now. Call or click AntietamBroadband.com to upgrade your internet today.
Bye, Janet. It's nice seeing you again. You look good, girl. Just let me know what I can do to help.
Well, to help me, she'd have to help every day. Every hour, every ouch, every time my wife calls for help. I mean, maybe she could help me make her lunch. But the crust, all the crust has to be cut off the corners. She could help me run to the doctor for the 5th time this week. Help me with the specialist and the second opinions and the painful paperwork about paperwork. Help me deal with how hard it is seeing my wife's name on so much paperwork. But this is on me. I'm the only one who can do this, like this, for her. Besides,
take care.
We will. Janet doesn't like her cooking anyway.
Find support for your strength. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community.
The University System of Maryland at Hagerstown provides a convenient location for students to earn a bachelor's, master's, or even doctoral degree. Located in downtown Hagerstown, USMH offers more than 20 degrees from 7 Maryland state universities. Classes are taught by the same professors you would find at your home institution, and your degree comes from that university too. Regional tuition rates are available for select counties in Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia. There is even student housing within walking distance of the campus. Simply apply for transfer admission at the university that offers your program. Scholarships are available both from USMH and individual universities. With flexible scheduling, small class sizes, and state-of-the-art facilities, there's no better time to complete your degree. Apply today. University System of Maryland at Hagerstown. Academic excellence, outstanding value.
Do you suffer from varicose veins? At the Laser Vein Institute, we can have you go from this to this with just one EVLT treatment.
It's a minimally invasive procedure that is extremely safe and effective.
I am so glad that my doctor recommended the VenaCure procedure.
My legs look great. I can thank VenaCure for that.
The VenaCure EVLT system uses precise laser energy to seal veins shut.
The procedure is covered by most insurance companies.
Find the new you at the Laser Vein Institute. Call for your consultation today.
At Customizers, we understand that it's not the destination, it's the journey. Whatever your personal needs are for automotive freedom, Customizers is committed to helping you achieve your own independence. Visit our facility and choose from our huge selection of new and used mobility vans, scooter lifts, hand controls, transfer seats, and accessories. At Customizers, we believe that staying at home is not an option. Customizers Mobility in Hagerstown, located off Interstate 81, Exit 10A on Pennsylvania Avenue.
If you love me enough to tolerate my perfect little pets and all their glorious dander, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.